and almost feeling like I'm doing it on time, doing it consistently, right? Because ultimately, growth isn't like this, it's this incremental improvement. And quite frankly, incremental improvement requires consistent action. It requires tenacity, it requires persistence, and it requires doing the stuff that you know you need to do repeatedly, over and over and over again. Sounds boring when you say it like that, but ultimately, weeks, months, years down the line, you get to look back and go, holy crap, what a journey, man. And I'm glad I stuck it out. So, anyway, that's the prelude to today's talk. And funny that we jumped into the incremental improvement because that's one of the key sections in the book. It's important because we look around and all we do is we see people's highlight reel, another section in the book, and we start comparing our lives to their lives. And you know what? When you're looking at all the cool stuff people are doing on a day by day basis, you start to think, gosh, my life isn't very interesting, or what a drag or a bore I may be. But you're looking at the best of the best, right? People aren't FaceTiming or Facebooking or Instagramming or snapping or TikToking. I'm sitting around binge watching Breaking Bad for the third time. Or, I'm really excited that Wednesday's coming out with season two, and I'll be sitting on my butt watching that. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the fact that I was so hungry and I couldn't wait to go out to my five-star meal that I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? You don't see people eating Chef Boyardee ravioli. You don't see them eating their mac and cheese. Those things happen in people's lives too. So don't worry about what other folks are doing. Worry about what you're doing. And back to that incremental improvement piece, worry about being better than you were yesterday and last week and last month, right? And I still haven't figured out if it's 1% better every day, because at the end of the year, 1% better every day is huge, right? That's like 365% better. And that seems unattainable to me a little bit. But if you were 1% better every week, right? That would make you twice as good as you are today. And how flippin' sweet would that be? And I'm not talking about in all the things, right? Because we can't do all the things. There's an important lesson that I shared years and years ago, and it said you'll know you found your true calling when not only do you love what you do, but people are happy to write you a check for it. And that is something that sticks with me and I think about and I laugh about every time someone hands me a check for speaking. I'm like, yes, this is so awesome. And I don't care if it's training or keynoting or emceeing or facilitating or whatever, but that's the stuff, man. Same with coaching. I feel pretty good about people paying me for that too. Um, but yeah, that's what the goal is. So, all right, we've covered a couple of the sections of the book. Let's really kind of dive into what the rest of them are. And maybe I'll just go through them one time and just nail it out. So that's what I think we're gonna do. I should read you the intro because I literally just wrote that yesterday, but maybe we'll save that for next week. So the very first section is every day. Again, maybe it's 1% better every week. We'll get to that. Second one is that heavy feeling. And this one came from, and if you saw last week's episode, you know that this book was kind of written as a response to some stuff that my daughter went through. And this literally, that heavy feeling are words that came directly out of her mouth. It was kind of like the precursor to knowing that an episode was going to happen, that she was going to go into a little bit of a fit. So there was a heavy feeling in her body that was indicative that something was coming next. The next piece is called sitting with the pain. The challenge for most folks is we're so hell bent on avoiding pain and discomfort that we run off to compartmentalize it and chuck it in the back before we actually deal with it. And if we don't effectively deal with it, it's just going to keep showing up and again and again and again, sometimes in very different ways at very unexpected times because we didn't deal with it. That's why sitting with the pain is so important. The next piece is your triggers are yours. Listen, we all have things that set us off. It's not the world's responsibility to know what your individual triggers are. It's your responsibility to make sure that you don't overreact when triggered to people that had nothing to do with it, right? We can't all be walking around on landmines around everybody. That's not great. So, handle your stuff a little bit better, right? Honestly. And that's what this section's about. The next one's called finding support when needed, because ultimately we have a hard time asking for help. We don't know who to ask. We don't know how to ask. We don't know when to ask. So that section's really all about that. And I say sections, and if I were looking at the page numbers, right, that heavy feeling starts on page 11. Sitting with the pain starts on page 12. Your triggers are yours starts on page 13. Finding support when needed starts on page 14. The next one, time is so non-linear, starts on page 16. So 2 pages. That's the long post, people. These are all really short, quick hits. Give you some ideas, questions to ask, things to think about. What's going to really make a difference right now? Immediately actionable advice, right? So that doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to take 30 pages. Again, I thought I was writing this for 20-year-olds, so I knew better than to write anything longer than 2 pages at a time because I know they're not going to read it, man. Now, if I spoke it, maybe different. We'll figure that out. So the next one was time is so nonlinear. It's all about how, time is, man. You know how you got days that last minutes and you got minutes that last months. Time is not linear. The next one is called 54 Shades of Gray, and we're probably going to change the title of that too because it's not a sex book, folks. That's not what it's about. It's about the idea that we talk about black or white, and there's no black or white. There's really, 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 really light gray and really, 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 really dark gray that looks black in 52 shades in between. And if we think about it that way, it opens up our ability to make decisions that aren't binary. The four elements, ooh, people, this might be my new favorite talk. It's about kind of blending the story from the Avatar. You guys remember that TV show? Not the movie with the blue people, but the Last Airbender Avatar. It's about looking at water, earth, fire, and air and how it pertains to people's personality types. I'm going to be doing some talks on that in the future for sure. Um, the namesake of the book is the next one, Finding Harmony in the Fucks You Give. I got so sick of listening to people talk about, I have 0 F's to give. I'm all out of F's. There's no more F's to give. You know what? You were wasting your F's all willy-nilly, throwing them around all pell-mell. Stop doing that. Get really serious about where you give your F's. And so that's kind of what this book is, man. It's like helping you decide what matters most to you. The next one is keep your highs low and your lows high. This is the classic line about the middle way or the middle path from Buddhism, right? We don't have to be experiencing the extremes, man. The roller coaster ride is too much for a lot of people. I'm not saying that the middle path isn't boring, but if your pendulum's swinging like this, it's better than if your pendulum's swinging like this. So, something to think about. Changing stress. It's important, right? How do we recalibrate the stress? How do we use it? How do we make it better? How do we look at things that we thought were stressful and have them be less so? Systemic deprogramming. I love this idea, right? It's the construct that just because your parents told you it was one way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. We have to break those cycles. Raise your vibe and your tribe, right? We attract things based on our frequency, and some of those things are people. So if we can change the way our energy is projected, we can change the things that we bring to us. Ebb and flow, it's the perfect culmination, right? It's the sea, it's the waves, but it's also how life works. Some days things are rolling out and far away from you. Other times they're crashing in on your shore, man. And it's about riding those waves. The law of gestation, that's another thought about time and how things actually take time. And we've done a horrible job because we've become such an instant gratification generation. Um, the law of vibration, that's really what the law of attraction is based on, right? That's the parent law to it, and it goes about frequency. I just mentioned that in the raise your vibe, raise your tribe. Happiness is an elusive and inside job. Happiness isn't something that everybody is going to achieve, and certainly not achieve all the time for the rest of us, right? We have to intentionally be happy. That's the inside job part. Be more flexible. Listen, folks, if there was anything in life that I've worked on mastering, and when I say worked on mastering, I mean I spent 4 years with Be More Flexible as a New Year's resolution between 2007 and 2011. Um, it's being more flexible, not just the ability to touch my toes when I bend over, but how I deal with things as they come into my world. You should hear me now. I drive down the road. I don't even complain at people that cut me off. What do you think of that? Mastery, mofos. It's always my pleasure. It's a great lesson from my man, Phil Klein. I've heard him say it way too many times to have it not sink in. And there's something about being really clear and doing the things that you want to do. The law of cause and effect, boy, if you don't understand this, what are you doing out here? Image of self. It's a big one. It's a big one because really, of all the people's opinions on who we are that matter, your opinion of you is the one that does. The power of self talk. Speaking of, how do we get it to matter more? Listen, man, all the voices you're going to hear inside your head, yours is the one you're going to hear most. The fire inside. Ooh, what gets you ready to kick the sheets off the bed in the morning? It's that fire inside. Is it lit? Is it burning? Is it ready? Go get it. Your only competition is you. And I said this at the very beginning of the program. Be better than you, 1% better, right? You are your competition. Whatever your beliefs are, this piece is all about you can have all the beliefs you want, right? You can find value in any thought. The question is, does it serve you? That's what you need to think about. The power, using stress as fuel. We talked earlier about changing stress. Now it's about changing it into actual gasoline to get you ready to go and do the things you need to do. The power of breath, man, this is how you change your conscious state. Breathing is so flippin' important that yoga is now $1 billion industry here. Yeah, because it changes the way we breathe. I love that part. You'll slip. You'll slip is a reminder that you can start, you can make changes, you can do those changes well, you can have things progressing really well, and then you're going to fall flat on your ass, right? Because that's what life is. Back to that whole ebb and flow thing. You'll slip is a good reminder to just get up the next day and try again. because that's all we can do, right? Fall down 7 times, get up 8. Gratitude, man, come on. There's nothing more important than gratitude on this planet. You know that. Your future self. I joke about this all the time, man. When I'm doing something that I know that Terry next week or Terry a year from now is going to be real happy about, how do we impress our future self? So that's the sections, people. That's the book. And so I just outlined that whole thing. It's 15 minutes and 26 seconds. So my timing is straight. And I had a little magic at the beginning. I like that. So I think it's coming out March 2nd, which is cool. It's International Children's Reading Day. It's also Kids Mental Awareness Day. So it's a kind of a big day. But there's a lot of wood to chop between now and then. So I'm not committing to that because that's literally like next Thursday. Wow. What? It's next Thursday? Yikes. Yeah, that might be tough. Anyway, so we'll figure it out. I'll let you know. But this is a nice little summary of what you're going to be able to see in this book. Last week's video was all about the origin and why it exists. This week was all about what's in it. Next week should hopefully be about how you're going to be able to get it. How about that? So I'll look forward to talking to y'all soon. And I wish you a fantastic rest of the day and an even better rest of the week. See ya. Did I just go? Maybe not. Don't do that. This, yeah, this is what's up. See ya.